Donald Trump wants to buy the island of Greenland from Denmark. Denmark says we are good. Quote, the thought of Denmark selling 50,000 citizens to the United States is completely ridiculous. And now everybody jumps on this train mocking Trump about his idea that he wanted to buy Greenland. And I'm just imagining a bunch of really stupid people, no matter what Trump does, pointing and laughing, going, oh, he's so dumb, oh my God. And it's like, listen, buying Greenland makes a ton of sense. They're acting like Trump's insane for proposing the purchase of Greenland. While it may be extremely complicated and extremely unlikely, if the U.S. owned the territory of Greenland, that would be tremendous. Now, global warming is a problem, but Iceland is rich in tons of resources, and it's being subsidized by Denmark, in which case, exploring the possibility of the U.S. acquisition of Greenland isn't insane. It might be a long shot, but it's actually a really good idea. And I feel like this is something we see all the time with the left. Why? Trump says something, and they all start jumping up and down, hooting and hollering like Trump said the craziest thing in the world. No, I mean, literally, if Trump proposed buying any kind of territory, that's not unheard of. The U.S. bought Alaska. Like, this makes, it can make sense. Will it happen? I don't know. Is it a long shot? Probably. But Trump wanted to explore this. Think about this story. The story is that Trump asked some aides to explore a purchase of Greenland. That's it. That makes a ton of sense. I'm sure Trump has explored a bunch of possibilities. See, this is the problem I have with the current state of politics. Stop making me defend him. It is not out of the question for the U.S. to try and explore the possibility. Greenland it's got 50,000 people. There's a complication there, sure, but tremendous resources. It would also allow the U.S. to establish a base in the Arctic Circle, or I don't know if we don't already have one, we might, but it would allow us direct and permanent access to the Northwest, presumably the Northwest Passage. I don't want to act like I know everything about what's going on up there, but Arctic oil for sure. So it sounds like it makes sense. Yet here we go on Twitter, they're all laughing and like, Trump's so dumb. And it's like, dude, calm down, man. It's just like, no, let's read the story. And I chose Vice on purpose to have a good time. Now, before we get started, make sure you head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, a physical address. But of course, the best thing you can do, just share this video. YouTube deranks independent political commentary, and I really can see it. Usually, it's the 6 p.m. segments I do are just like, they get beat down. And it's probably because they're all next to each other, so I get it, but still, I can see the deranking happening. But let's read the news from Vice. Danish politicians responded to reports that Donald Trump was interested in buying the island of Greenland with a clear message. Are you nuts? The Wall Street Journal reported Thursday that Trump has repeatedly expressed interest in the United States buying the world's largest island, a resource-rich, self-ruling territory of the Kingdom of Denmark. The Journal reported that while Trump has made the inquiries with varying degrees of seriousness, he had asked White House counsel to look into the idea, and some of his advisors had said it made economic sense. Yeah, notably the oil and the iron ore, and I think there's like zinc and a bunch of other materials in a widely just sparse and open land. It's not being utilized extensively. My understanding is that Denmark is heavily subsidizing it. There are a lot of people who live there. I don't know what makes sense, but it's like, why is it that these people in Europe are just, oh man, you know what? It's just the snooty, elitist arrogance I can't stand. The people who think they're smarter than you and know better, instead of saying something like, I absolutely understand why anyone would want to acquire this land, but we have 50,000 citizens there, and even though we subsidize it, we're not going to give up our access to these resources. It's just too bad. Is that the reasonable response? The Wall Street Journal reported Thursday that Trump has repeatedly expressed interest, I read that already, but in Denmark, which has never signaled any intention of selling the Arctic island, population 56,000, the notion was met with scorn and ridicule. Why? Greenland's foreign minister, Anne Lone Bagger, said Friday that the sale of the island wasn't up for discussion. We are open for business, but we are not for sale. Aja Chemnitz Larsen, an MP from Greenland's Inuit Atakwit, I can't pronounce this, Atakat-Igit party, I apologize, also thought the idea was a non-starter. My immediate thought is no, thank you. I mean, these are common rational responses, you know. Soren Espersen, foreign affairs spokesman for the populist Danish People's Party, was scathing of the suggestion. If he is truly contemplating this, then this is final proof that he has gone mad, he told public service broadcaster DR. The thought of Denmark selling 50,000 citizens to the US is completely ridiculous. But let's be real here. What would happen in the event of the sale of Greenland to the US? The citizens of Denmark who live in Greenland would retain their Danish citizenship and probably gain green card access or dual citizenship with the US. I imagine that would be something considered in any possible transfer of ownership of the island. It's that simple. And again, stressing, they say right here, Greenland relies on a nearly $600 million of Danish economic support annually. But we'll get to that. They say the thought of Denmark selling 50,000 citizens to the U.S. is completely ridiculous. The ice-covered 811,000 square mile island is a self-ruling part of the Kingdom of Denmark, with its government legislating on domestic affairs, while foreign policy and security matters are handled by Copenhagen. While Greenland relies on $600 million, they say, the island is rich in natural resources like iron ore, zinc, and oil, which are becoming more accessible as climate change melts Arctic ice. It also occupies a geopolitically strategic location between the North Atlantic and Arctic Oceans. Under the terms of a defense treaty with Denmark, Washington operates a major airbase in northern Greenland. Okay, so that's why I wasn't sure in the beginning. We do have a base there, which forms a critical part of the U.S. ballistic missile early warning system. As far-fetched as Trump's alleged ambitions toward Greenland might sound, they're not without precedent. Good job, Vice. Vice doing a good job, essentially calling out the absurdity of these people who are making fun of Trump for entertaining this idea. Check this out. Back in 1946, President Harry Truman made an offer to Denmark of $100 million for Greenland, but it was knocked back. 1917, the U.S. bought the Danish West Indies, now known as the U.S. Virgin Islands, for $25 million. To counter the threat of them being seized and used as a submarine base by Germany. The Danish government is yet to officially respond to the reports of Trump's interest, but if they want to talk Turkey with the self-described great deal maker, Denmark's leaders will have ample opportunity next month when the U.S. president makes his first official visit to the kingdom. The sale of Greenland is not on the agenda for the visit. And then, I don't know, there's a video that's not loading. But this, the reason I wanted to talk about the story about Greenland is for one, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about it on Twitter, and I'm seeing there's like, it's always this left-right divide. One of the biggest problems I have with the left has always been their snooty elitism, their ivory tower opinions about how they're smarter than you, and they know it. Reminds me of the movie Dodgeball. You guys ever see this? Where Ben Stiller's character has the commercial where he goes like, here at Globo Gym, we're better than you. And we know it. And that's the attitude I feel like it's coming from people on the left. You know, I looked at, if you go to on Reddit, to the politics subreddit, it's supposed to be general politics, but it's basically just anti-Trump. It's like the inversion of the Donald. And I question, why is this not being moderated more properly? Why can't there be real discussion about politics? Now, the Donald is quarantined, but politics isn't, and there's a lot of reasons. I'm not going to get into that. The point is, you go to the politics subreddit, and they had a story there today about Anthony Scaramucci ragging on Trump. And I know what I'm going to see. I click it, and it's a big, it's a big circle of people patting each other on the back. I'll put it that way, for the kids. And we'll avoid using the adult language. They're praising Scaramucci, saying, thank God he's calling out Trump. It's like, dude, this is a guy who got fired in 10 days for launching a profanity-laced tirade against his fellow staff members. Why would you think he'd praise the president? He gets a job, he starts spitting and yowling, and then they fire him, so now he's talking smack about the president. Yet they're going to act like this guy is speaking truth? No, he's a disgruntled employee. Look, you don't have to like the president. You don't have to like what he says. But it's these ridiculous stories where I just imagine they're all like laughing to themselves about how smart they are that Trump entertained the idea of buying Greenland. Meanwhile, so did Truman. And the U.S. has bought territory multiple times in the past. How does it not make sense? It makes a ton of sense. We have a military base there, right? So that's why I was unsure of. But yeah, Vice News reporting, we do have an air base there. We've got a race for Arctic oil, and we've got a giant island full of tons of resources. It's got 56,000 people. That's making it a long shot. I'd imagine it's a lot of people, but it's also not 100,000. It's also not 1 million. So if Trump comes out and says, what are the prospects of us buying Greenland? Just entertaining the idea. And then all of a sudden, the media grabs onto this. They start hooting and hollering, putting out opinion pieces to capture the Trump bump, where they can talk about how stupid Trump is for entertaining the idea of purchasing Greenland when it's been done in the past. And that's what you see. That's what I see, at least. Where's the calm and rational discussion where we can say, like, oh, okay, I think it's a long shot. I wonder what his thought process is. That's it. Is there really anything to talk about? Instead, what do we get? We get every little thing he does. Actually, there's a video you should check out, and it's called something like "Stop Making Me Defend Donald Trump," and it sums up how I feel so often that you'll hear people talking about something Trump's done, laughing about how stupid he is, about how the Orange Man is bad, and it's like, what are you talking about, man? It's like it's not that big a deal. He said to some aides, "Can we buy Greenland?" What is that? Does that make sense? For all we know, it was a couple comments in passing. Maybe we heard, I'll give you a sane and logical, rational scenario. Someone comes to Trump and says, so we've got Russian ships moving through the Arctic trying to claim this territory. Canada has pushed back on Russia. And then Trump says, how can we get ships in there to compete or push back on any threats from Russia? And then someone says, well, we'll need some operating territory, Canada or Greenland. And then Trump goes, Greenland, how active is that? Well, it's being subsidized by Denmark. And then Trump says something like, is there a possibility we can purchase the island off Denmark? And then somebody says, I'm not sure. It makes economic sense. Let's reach out. And then all of a sudden it blows up on Twitter and everyone's just like laughing about how smart they are up in their ivory tower, that they know better than all of you. And it may have just been a general inquiry. I'm willing to bet Trump has asked about other things like this we don't know about, but doesn't it make sense? Think about the proposition Hillary comes out with when they're talking about Julian Assange, and she goes, can't we just drone the guy? Are you nuts? Here's what's really funny. The right dragged her over this, but the idea that she thought we could drone strike the Ecuadorian embassy in the UK, and then apparently it was like, oh, it was a joke. Oh, was it? Talking about buying Greenland makes sense, but everyone on Twitter is going to go, like, and they're going to laugh and point the finger. Hillary Clinton talking about droning Assange in the Ecuadorian embassy, the media doesn't care. You know what? You get the point. All right, I don't even know why I made a video about this. It's like, there's some big stories happening right now. The Rashida Tlaib thing is going viral on Twitter. Meanwhile, there's some new breaking news about the Clinton email scandal. And here I am just confused as to why this is what people care about. For the most part, I don't even know why they care about the Tlaib thing. It's like, I get it. She's not going to go to Israel. It's a complicated thing. I might do a video about it. I might do that as the main segment because the Clinton email scandal, admittedly, is really complicated, and I'm going to have to dig through this. But I see this story and I question why anyone cares. Like, it reminds me of Fight Club when the guy walks into Jack's office with the paper of the rules of Fight Club. And then Jack, the main character, says, don't bring me every little piece of trash you happen to come across. And that's how I feel about stories like this. But here I am now making a video about it, so whatever. Stick around. Next segment will be at 4 p.m. youtube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel, and I will see you there.